Hello, everyone. I'm Brian McMillan. I'm an attorney with the Littler Mendelsohn Law Firm. And first and foremost, I want to thank the Insurance Board for inviting me here to give this presentation to you today. I want to thank all its agents, its participants, and thank you all for taking a time to kind of join us. As I said, I'm an attorney with the Littler Mendelsohn Law Firm. Littler's the largest law firm in the United States, specializing exclusively in representing employers in all aspects of labor and employment law. We have over 1,000 attorneys, more than 80 offices, and as a result, we have tremendous resources to help businesses of all kinds manage their workforce and hopefully prevent employment-related claims. So I'm here today at the request of the Insurance Board because Littler has teamed up with your insurance carrier, AIG, to provide you with a really incredible, powerful, and valuable collection of employment law and human resource tools, manuals, checklists, documents. And I'm going to walk through how you can access and tap into this incredible wealth of information and tools. From the very basics, like employment at will, anti-harassment, anti-discrimination, to more specific policies, like workplace violence policies, leaves of absences, time off for voting, things of that nature. I'll show you how you can tap into our human resource library of human resource forms, like employment application forms, or an interview checklist, an employee warning notice form, sample termination letter, many, many more human resource forms that will help you manage your enterprise. I'll also show you how you can be kept up to date on employment law developments. We track employment law developments at the federal level, state level, and local level. As just one example, on this issue of the coronavirus, in the last 10 weeks, my partners and I have published over 350 articles on the coronavirus and the employment law implications that the new laws, new orders, new executive regulations impose upon all businesses. If you're interested in, for example, you need to know whether there's a state or federal document or notice or poster that's required. I'll show you how you can get that information as well. And lastly, I'll show you, and I've saved the best for last, how you can get answers to literally hundreds of employment law questions and on employment law topics from our subject matter experts. I'm going to show you how to use a new proprietary tool called Littler GPS. Littler GPS will provide answers to some of your most common employment law questions. For example, if you need to know when you have to pay an employee's final paycheck, does it need to include accrued but unused vacation? Do you have to pay employees paid sick leave? Or what about an employee that asks to inspect their personnel file? You're required to do that? What if it's a former employee? Literally, answers to hundreds of questions like that are available through this Littler GPS tool. And some of you might be thinking or asking yourself, well, wait a minute. The answers to those type of questions really vary from state to state. And sometimes even on issues like paid sick leave or minimum wage or overtime, they might vary by local ordinance. Well, that's right. And I'm going to show you the power of Littler GPS, because when you search a topic, I'll show you how to do this. The results that you'll get will be an analysis with suggestions and tips based on federal law and for all 50 states and for every city with more than 100,000 residents. It's a very powerful tool. So how do you access this EPL risk management tool that we're making available to the IB participants? Well, the first thing you do is go to the website, eplriskmanager.com. And when you go to that website, you'll come to this landing page. And by the way, before I move on, keep in mind that although we're recording this on June 1st, I'm live. I'm able to answer your questions now. And you'll see in the bottom right part of your screen a little chat box. If you have a question, go ahead, ask. I welcome your questions and look forward to answering them. Okay, let's go back now to the website. What you see in front of you now is the landing page at eplriskmanager.com. If it's the first time that you've accessed the website, you'll need to request an account. How do you do that? Well, we've made it kind of simple. You click the button that says request an account. There you'll enter your name, email address, entity name, and for policy number, you'll put in your IB number. When you click submit, we'll verify the valid IB number, and then you'll receive a confirming email with login credentials and information on how to set your own password. Thereafter, when you go to the website, just enter your email address, password, and click login. When you do that, you'll come to what's called the home page of the website. Now you'll see that there are 7 main tabs, and that's what I'm going to take a couple of minutes on each of these tabs to explain to you and walk you through the page and how to access the information. There's actually an 8th, I don't know if we call it a tab or not, but there's a banner called Latest Updates on COVID-19. So these are the main, we'll call them 8 sections that I'm going to cover for you today. Let's start with the latest updates on COVID-19. You click on that link, you'll come to updates. And again, these are updated every day, sometimes a couple of times a day on the latest developments relating to COVID-19. So for example, we're recording this in the morning of June 1st, but here's the updates from yesterday. As you scroll down, you'll see state by state developments on what new executive orders have been issued. There might be new court decisions, other legal developments associated with COVID-19 and what employers have to do to manage their workforce and comply with these new rules. Within this information, you'll also see hyperlinks to the executive orders or other legal developments, and you can just click on those links and go directly to the particular legal development. But as you scroll down, you'll see multiple states had developments yesterday. And yes, that was even on a Sunday. You'll see tons of developments. And then starting with national developments, state developments, and then followed by city legal developments. Scrolling down, you'll see the day before, May 30th, legal developments, including the U.S. Supreme Court decision on religious services associated with COVID-19. And again, these are day-by-day legal developments. So then let's jump back. We'll click home to go back to the home page. And now let's go on to another one of the main tabs, documents and templates. You click on that tab, and you'll come up with our listing of documents and templates. They're organized and categorized by 3 main buckets: onboarding or pre-hire documents, employment documents, and lastly, end of employment documents. So for example, let's start with onboarding. You'll see links to documents such as a multi-jurisdictional employment application form, reference check authorizations, pre-hire checklists, and the little symbol to the left, the little blue box with the W, that means it's a Word document. Let's take just a quick moment to show you one of these. So if I click on the multi-jurisdictional employment application form, you'll come up with a Word document, and it's in Word, so you can edit it to meet your particular needs. And it's our attorney-prepared employment application form. You'll see on the right margin that there's comments from our attorneys with tips and suggestions how you may need to modify the application based on your either particular state law or other issues to consider. But here's an example of one of the employment forms, one of the dozens of employment forms we make available to you. If we go back to the website, you'll see again additional documents that you can download at your leisure. Under hiring resources, there's forms like an I-9 checklist. You'll see also some links will have this orange square with the link. That's a link to a government form, such as an I-9 form, W-4 form, etc. If you need to find out what state or government mandated employment law posters or notices are required, one way you can access that is by clicking on these particular states here And you'll see, for example, I'm in California. There's a link to California required hire forms, posters, and notices. I'm going to demonstrate that later on in this presentation because it comes up in a different tab as well. If we scroll down for continuing employment, here are dozens of employment policies, anything from military leave policy, employment at will, anti-harassment. And again, it works the same way. If you want to see a sample harassment policy, I'm clicking on sexual and other unlawful harassment policy. Up comes the document in Word. So here's the document in a Word format, again, so you can edit it, put the name of your entity, organization at the top, or incorporate it, cut and paste it into your employee handbook. There's notes again in the right margin from our attorneys giving you tips and suggestions on how you might want to modify the particular policy to meet your particular needs. Going back to this particular tab, you'll see other HR employment law forms, such as performance evaluation forms, employee disciplinary notices, leaves of absence request forms. You get the idea. And again, if you jump down to the end of the employment section, there's things like notice of employment termination, a sample termination letter, etc. Okay, so that's the tab, the document and template tab. If we go back to the home page, let's go to the second main tab, forms and notices. So for forms and notices, the first thing you'll see is that there's a drop-down box and you can select your particular state. All 50 states and District of Columbia are covered. Again, I'm going to use California because that's where I am. And the first thing you'll see at the top is a state legal guide. You click on that link. It's a PDF document. You'll come to a PDF document of that particular resource manual. This one for California, as you can imagine, in California, we have lots of employment law rules and regulations. This particular manual is almost 250 pages. And what's interesting, and I think very impressive on these state employment law reference manuals, is if you look towards the bottom of page 2, it tells you when it was last updated. This was last updated 3 days ago. They're usually updated every couple of weeks. So the material that you have is up to date. These employment law state manuals, like this one on California, cover a whole wealth of information that you need from being an employer in each particular state, this one, California. So for example, it covers issues like whether or not an individual is classified correctly as an employee or independent contractor. It has employment verification requirements, background screening information, lie detector tests, alcohol testing, drug testing. It covers things like required notices at the time of hire, covenants not to compete, wage and hour issues, record keeping issues, employee privacy issues, overtime requirements, employee safety issues, wage payment obligations. It goes on and on, covering the employment law issues of each particular state. So if we go back now, under the government form, poster and notice requirement tab, you saw that we have the state legal guide. Then as you scroll down, you'll see links to government required forms and notices. If it's, again, a red square, it's a PDF document that you can just download and print. If it's an orange link, then it's a link to a government website for information like an I-9 form. This is California here. There's a DE-4 form. There's notices that you must give to employees on Wage Theft Prevention Act notice. Notice regarding employee harassment has to be given to every new hire. So for all 50 states, we have links or download documents for the government required notices and posters. Okay, that's the second tab. Again, the form and notice provision. Let's go back to the home page, and now we'll go to the third tab, reference. This is where you find the reference manuals I alluded to earlier. Two main categories. The first is state reference manuals. I showed you quickly the California manual. but we have these for all 50 states and the District of Columbia. They range anywhere from maybe 60 or 70 pages to volumes like California that are 250 or more pages. Then there's also our reference manuals on a federal level. There's actually about 30 federal employment law reference manuals that we make available to you, all as part of your AIG package. These cover topics like background screening, data protection, disabilities in the workplace, employee training, religion in the workplace, reductions in force, layoffs, etc. These manuals also range from 60 to probably 200 or so pages. Collectively, there's probably more than 10,000 pages of employment law reference manuals that we're making available for you as part of your AIG insurance program. If we go back to the home page, we'll now go to the fourth tab, Learning. If we click on that tab, you'll see this. You see a collection of employment webinars, HR webinars on 30 or more topics. Usually when there's a new employment law development, we'll prepare a webinar. You can find them here on the Learning page. So there's webinars on harassment, issues like data security, how to respond to an EEOC charge. One of my favorite is this presentation on how to conduct a workplace investigation. It's about a 15 or 20-minute webinar, and it walks you through how to respond to an employee's complaint. If somebody complains of harassment or other workplace issues, how do you go about investigating and responding to an issue of workplace misconduct? Again, scroll down and you'll see literally dozens of webinars and podcasts that are available to you. The bottom of this particular page, you'll see a tab for upcoming webinars. And these are webinars that we have in the next few days, but you can scroll forward, going on to different pages, and you'll see additional webinars we have scheduled for the future. We put on webinars, sometimes multiple webinars a day. You'll see here just in the next 4 days, again, today's June 1st that we recorded. In the next 4 days, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 presentations scheduled. Then you can also access webinars that we previously conducted that are available, that we've recorded now that you can tap into. There are literally multiple webinars that you can play at your leisure by just tapping into these links. There's several on COVID-19 topics. So that's the Learning page. If we go back to Home, we'll go to the next tab, a couple more left. Here's News and Analysis. As I mentioned before, just with the vast amount of resources we have available, we publish more articles and updates on employment law legal developments than anybody. And this is an incredible place to access new legal developments. One of the neat features that we have available on this particular tab here is that you can search particular topics. So if we put in, for just as an example, keyword, if we put in COVID-19, and you can also, by the way, put in search fields if you're looking for a particular legal development in a particular point of time, you can put in the date it was published, the type of article. We have different types, more in-depth insight articles or ASAP, with our shorter articles, webinars, etc. Or you can put in a focus area or a state that you're particularly interested in. These are all different filters that you can apply. Then you click search. And again, I'm searching for COVID-19 just as a way of demonstration. We have 366 articles that we've published. And again, if you want to focus it on your particular state, just add that to the filter and you'll get those particular articles. Another really incredible, useful tool I find is you can click on email updates. If you want to subscribe to email updates, you would be overwhelmed if you don't put any particular filter on this, because as I said, we're publishing 3, 4 on COVID-19. We've had as many as 12 articles in one single day. But if you want to subscribe, you enter into your contact information, and then you could put what practice areas you're interested in, what geographic location you're in, and then you'll receive our news updates for those particular areas. Okay, so that's the news and analysis update. Let's go back to the home page. And there's 2 more tabs left. Compliance HR. Compliance HR is a separate company. That's not our particular firm. It's we provide the legal analysis and assist that company, but it's a separate company, and they're providing you participants, IB participants, with a free trial of a couple of their tools. 2 very complex legal issues that employers often are confounded with are whether an individual is correctly classified as an independent contractor or employee, and another one is whether or not an employee is entitled to overtime, whether they're exempt. Well, Compliance HR has developed these really cool online tools that walk you through a series of questions, factual questions about the particular employee, and then you can click submit, and it provides a legal analysis basically, and a rating and a scale of how much risk there is, how likely the individual is either exempt or non-exempt, or how likely the individual is correctly classified as an independent contractor. It also provides tips and suggestions on maybe some tweaks or changes that you can make to make sure that individual is correctly classified or is correctly being paid. So that is just a free trial for those 2 tools. I have other tools available, but for these 2, Compliance HR has provided a free trial for those. Now let's go to the last tab, which is, let's go to Home and go to the last tab, which is the one I mentioned earlier, the Littler GPS tool. Let me really take a moment to give a shout out to the brains behind Littler GPS. I mentioned before we have over 1,000 employment attorneys, and they certainly contribute to the Littler GPS tool. But we also are very unique in that we have a dedicated group of about 24 attorneys that don't practice law in the traditional sense. They're not handling cases and practicing law. They're actually spending their time tracking employment law legal developments at the federal level for every state and for every city with more than 100,000 residents. They're looking at not only legislation that's pending, legislation that's passed, but new executive orders, court decisions, new regulations that are developed. And it's that knowledge and that content that is incorporated into this new tool I'm going to show you called Littler GPS. Here's what you'll see when you come to Littler GPS. And there's 2 main functions I'm going to talk about. First is legislation, and the second are what we refer to as multi-state surveys or multi-state analysis of employment law topics. I'm going to start with legislation. We click on the legislation button, you'll come to new, on chronological order here, new employment law developments. And so, for example, you see on the screen the title of a new employment law development or new law, the jurisdiction that enacted it, the enactment date, the effective date, a link to the bill itself. And then these green boxes are the categories of what we've categorized that particular topic under. So again, you'll see here's a lot of developments occurring just in the last few days in the state of Maryland. But you can go back chronologically and find all types of employment law developments. But if you're looking for something in particular, you can click on this search screen. And so for example, and actually it looks like I already had that on that screen, you can put in something like discrimination and harassment, pick a particular state, Maryland. You can put in a date range if you want, click find, and that's why earlier we saw the screen here of these are the Maryland developments. If we delete those particular filters and click find, here you'll see the recent developments from all states. And these are again in chronological order. So these are new laws that have been enacted basically in the last week. You see the listing of laws, the state linked to the particular bill itself. So that's one way to use the Littler GPS tool. If you're looking for a particular law, particular topic in a particular jurisdiction. The other way, and this is the way I use it most often, and I think you will too, is by clicking on either multi-state surveys or you can click topics. And you can search for a particular term. So let's go up to the top here and let's pick something like you have a question about smoking in the workplace or something regarding smoking developments. You click that search term and you'll find on the left 2/3 of the page, the legislation portion. Here's new legal developments with respect to laws that might impact smoking in the workplace. But on the right 1/3, and this is what I want to call your attention to, these are state by state, 50 state surveys or analysis. And if you find the one most pertinent what you're looking for, here's one, smoking in the workplace. This is what I was looking for, just by way of example. You click on that 50 state survey link, and you'll come up with an analysis. You'll see an introductory paragraph on what the survey includes, and then you come to the analysis itself. You'll see it starts with the federal law, if there's any particular law on smoking in the workplace in this particular example. And then as you scroll down, you'll see a listing of all 50 states and what the law is on that particular state. And what is also an incredible tool, or incredible feature of this tool, you'll see at the top of the survey, current as of May. This is just within a week or two updated by those 24 knowledge management attorneys I described. It also has a nice little feature where you can select your jurisdiction. So you click on that link, click select none. You're interested just in a particular state. Let's go, again, I like California. Let's click on California, click save. And now you'll get the employment law, the applicable regulations, the particular statute, and these columns will give you information based on certain topics that are applicable to your particular state. Another way of finding answers to your employment law question is if you go to the topic button. Click on that button, and here are, again, maybe a couple of hundred topics of employment law issues that you can look into. You can click on a particular topic and find answers on the employment law for all 50 states. Let's go for jury duty. Do you have to provide jury duty? How much? Does it have to be paid? I clicked on, under topics, I clicked on jury duty. And again, just to explain how this works, the left 2/3 of the page are new legislative developments dealing with jury duty. The right 1/3 is a list of relevant 50 state surveys or analysis on that topic. Here, there's one particular survey. I'm going to click on that, jury service. Here's a description of what you'll find in this survey, this legal analysis, followed by the federal law, and then followed by all 50 states. If there's a particular issue, let's go to just one more example. If I go to topics, I want to know about sick leave. Under leaves, let's find paid sick leave. Click on that topic. Left 2/3 of the page are new legal laws into effect dealing with paid sick leave. Right 1/3 of the page are the 50 state surveys. I'm looking for this particular paid sick leave full summary. I'm going to click on that survey. Here's a little warning notice that there's an implication dealing with COVID-19 that might come into play. And then you'll find the legal analysis at the federal level and all states. Let's say, by example, if I want to see the information relating to paid sick leave just for California, I'd again select the jurisdiction. Happens to be only a couple dozen states have paid sick leave, but I want to select California, and there's a reason I'm going to show you this. Here's the California paid sick leave law, and it's rather extensive, but as I scroll down, not only do I have the law and the analysis of California, but you'll see that it also has the analysis based on local jurisdictions, city by city. Again, for the main cities, we have, for example, here it comes. We have analysis of Berkeley's law. As you scroll down, you'll come to Emeryville, Los Angeles, San Diego, etc. So again, we're covering the law on these employment law topics, both at a federal level, state level, and local cities with 100,000 or more residents. So that's how you use this Littler GPS tool. These are, again, the main tabs that are available at the EPL Risk Manager website. I want to encourage you again, if you have any questions, to use that chat box. I'd be glad to answer your questions. And without delaying further, I want to again thank the Insurance Board for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to demonstrate this incredible research tool that are available to its participants and agents. And with that, I'll answer any questions, and then we'll leave you. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much again.